Hi, Kyle here at the Growing Place in Aurora. We're in frame 5, where we have the earliest plantings of our ornamental perennials for the season. We've had other videos where we've been over with the edibles in frame 6, but these are the ornamentals, so the things we're not selling as plants that we're going to eat. But in an earlier video, there was a clip of preparation of the roots of Coreopsis Zagreb, and you can see these guys are just starting to pop up. So they were bare root plants that came in. They were trimmed up and planted earlier this month, so they don't look like a whole lot right now, but by the end of March they're going to look kind of nice, ready to go. We have an assortment of things. We've got a few daylilies in here, typically daylilies which can be planted from containers anywhere from late March through even November or later if the ground's not frozen. They're very durable, but for our production purposes we usually plant these in late summer, but there's a few of them we just need a few additional numbers, so we've got small crops in here. And as we walk through, we've got things like our Siberian Iris. This has always been a favorite. This is Caesar's brother. They're very slow to root. In fact, they're usually not ready until almost the end of April, and they're planted in early February. And as we go through, we've got lots of iris. Those are usually a bigger crop because it's all of our production for the most part of those, just because they take a little bit longer to grow. And then we've got other things that will have smaller plantings, so we get fresh selections out as the season progresses. We also have things like our Hens and Chicks. These, if you were out, if the snow has melted in your garden, you might see these. They're semi-evergreen, so you would still see these under the snow once it melts. But those are great for a sunny area with good drainage. You can even use them as a container plant as well. And if you can see the cart that's hanging on the rail up there, we try to keep shorter plants in the center of the greenhouse because we have our carts that roll on this rail up above. I'll demonstrate that a little bit later in the video, but they roll right over the top of these, so we have to keep plants that are low in the center. Many of these plants were planted out here in the greenhouse. This happens to be Calamintha Montrose White. So this was just planted about maybe a week and a half ago, so it's not rooted yet. There's no roots coming out. They were done from cuttings in our propagation house. You may have seen them in one of the earlier videos. There is another planting that just was potted 2 days ago down there. But Calamintha is a very popular sun plant. Its relative, Calamenta Nepata, subspecies Nepata, is the Perennial Plant Association's Plant of the Year this year. It's very popular. Rabbits tend to avoid it, and it blooms from June all the way up to October. And we'll just kind of keep walking along. Other things that might look about like what you've got in the garden. This is Sedum Carl, but they look like almost tiny cabbages, and they look like that even in late fall. If you go out and look down between the stems of your plant, and then as the weather warms up, they start to emerge. So here's a good example right there on that side. That's kind of what they would look like in the garden. Okay, and we just have an assortment again. We've got another small group of daylilies, things that we're going to have successive crops of, so there's always a fresh batch. We have Becky Daisy over here. This is the first planting of Becky, but there's going to be at least probably another 5 groups of these, so that there's always a fresh supply of them coming out to both of our stores here in Aurora and Naperville. Okay, thank you for joining us this week.